Welcome to the Big Hack 2020 and to this introductory session to using model clauses. From the outset, let's put our efforts into context by highlighting the Chancery Lane Project's goals, which are to shift the dial and to make climate-conscious drafting that seems ambitious now the norm as quickly as possible, and to make consideration of climate risks, opportunities and solutions mainstream so that climate change is no longer thought of as a discrete environmental issue. Why is this module so important? Well, in order to achieve a real-world impact on climate change, the content that has been created needs to be actually used in your precedent banks and contracts. The journey to achieve this will be different for each firm and organisation, but we've put together this process that you can adapt to the right approach for you. It involves familiarising yourself and engaging with our existing material, as well as a formation of a plan of action by considering who are the gatekeepers in your organisation that you would need to approach and how best to sell it to them. And so, the first phase is clause familiarisation, getting to know the 50 clauses in the Climate Contract Playbook Edition 3. Although today your facilitator will have likely pre-selected a smaller number for you. This is so important, as an intimate knowledge of the material is essential in applying your commercial expertise to how it can best be incorporated into your daily practice, and to give you the confidence to approach the necessary people in your firm or organisation. We have 4 ways for you to get to know our existing material, all of which are available on our events website, events.chancerylaneproject.org. The teal arrow indicates increasing detail going down. First up, this clause timeline provides us with an overview of our existing clauses mapped out in the supply chain process. This can be a useful tool to zone in on the ones most relevant to your practice. We also have short summaries of each clause viewable on an Airtable gallery, which can be filtered by industry and practice area. You can also search for keywords. We also have the full clauses on Airtable with the same filter and search functions. Last but certainly not least, you can read our full drafting in our publications, the most recent of which are the Climate Contract Playbook Edition 3 and Glossary Edition 2. As you familiarise yourself with our existing material, you can begin to evaluate the clauses using our evaluative questions. How widely applicable is the clause? i.e., does it apply across different industry sectors or legal practice areas? How great is the potential climate impact of this clause? This can be both in the literal sense of the reduction of carbon emissions or in a less tangible sense. Does it bring climate issues to the forefront of parties at consideration? What is the ease of integration of this clause into your precedent banks? What is the ease of integration of this clause into client contracts? The next phase is to begin to engage with these clauses. This might start by drawing on the previous evaluative discussion. What is the ease of integrating this clause into your daily practice? Rate it red, amber, or green. Could it be easily lifted with relatively little change? Or is there a way that it could be tweaked and redrafted to make it more commercially viable? From this assessment, you can first look at those rated green and begin to think about how you would get buy-in for incorporating them. Who would be the relevant stakeholders in this agreement type? Who are the relevant gatekeepers? For example, the knowledge managers or senior partners that you need to get sign-off from. What are the likely obstacles and how can they be overcome? Then, for those rated amber, how can you bend, stretch, or break this clause to make it easier to incorporate? We can use this fast idea generator template to think imaginatively and differently about clauses. By way of example, we have a piece of drafting currently under construction on a syndicated power purchasing agreement. If we invert it, i.e. turn the common practice upside down, we might create a sort of syndicated power sales agreement for a collective of small or medium-sized clean energy generators to enhance their provisions capacity. Or if we integrate the offer with others, such as different functions along the electricity supply chain, where hire purchase or lease agreements or the provision of infrastructure would be included in the PPA. We could extend it by including the provision of gas in the PPA. Another example is that our Australian colleagues are looking at Toby's clause for paperless dispute resolution and seeing how this can be transposed into other practice areas and other stages of the contractual process. This is the stage that may be most relevant to those of you focusing on using our clauses in other jurisdictions. What are the semantic and conceptual changes that need to be made in order for them to be coherent and commercially practical in your jurisdiction? The next phase is to create a plan of action together. After the stimulating discussion during today's live event, as well as any work you have done to adapt to the drafting, what are the practical steps you can take over the next few weeks to start the ball rolling? We use the analogy of heroes and mentors. To those of you joining us today, you are the heroes and the big hack is your call to action. To those of you who've joined us for events before, you have transitioned from hero to mentor. How can you help our new heroes by sharing the details of your challenges and successes? This is a great opportunity to have a collaborative discussion on the anticipated barriers in obtaining buy-in at your organisation for TCLP's content and how you might overcome them. The final phase? Action. After today, it's over to you to go and do it. Behind the scenes is where the real work happens, in your own firms and organisations. As you do so, we'd be very grateful if you could share your challenges, successes, and drafting practice notes with us, so that we can continue to amplify our impact. All that remains for me is to stress that the TCLP team is here to support you throughout this process. Over the next 2 days, TCLP's Zoom room, where you are now, will be open for you to drop in with any questions or just for a chat. Email or DM us on Slack at any point. Thank you for being a part of the Chancery Lane project, and I hope that you enjoy the big hack. It's time for you to join either your firm-specific virtual conference room or the mixed general group, and we're posting a link with the various video conference rooms for each of them in the chat now.